So, hello.
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 Nice to meet you.
Hello. Welcome to Awwwards Academy. Hello. Today's session, we're going to be talking to Julian from Build in Amsterdam.
Yes.
Hello. Okay.
Nice.
So, my name is Rachel. I'm the community manager at Awwwards and event producer. You may have met me at some of the conferences. So if we've met, hello. So we are coming to you live today from Awwwards Academy. Awwwards Academy is a platform, a learning experience for designers and developers with loads of live websites, sessions, tutorials, etc. A great opportunity for you to connect and learn, and we want it to be really interactive. Okay, this session will be available to watch again on our YouTube channel. I'm going to stick a link to our YouTube channel in the chat, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Okay, so now we are going to go straight to today's live with Julian. Hello, Julian.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. And you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Nice to see you today. Your office is looking very smart.
Thank you very much. Yeah, luckily we're back after the whole Corona thing, what happened. But we're starting to get back to the office again, and everyone starts to work inside of the same office, which is really nice and really fun.
Yeah, it's really nice actually to see what like everyone's working environment. So okay, so I'll let you get on with it, and have a good one.
Cool. So I will just switching to my screen. 1 second. So thank you. Welcome. I would like to give you all a high five, but unfortunately, that's not possible now because of because we're online. But I'm gonna take you guys through Powerhouse today, and there's like a lot of things that goes within this project, and I want to highlight a few of these things from Powerhouse, and hopefully you can learn something and get something out of it from a design perspective, but also from a development perspective. So these are the things we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about a little bit about me, so what I do here at Build in Amsterdam. Who is Powerhouse? Who is this amazing client where we made the website for? The UX of the project and the final design. And we're also gonna have a little bit of a bonus thing, the secret recipe to win an award. So about me, I'm Julian. I work here as a lead designer at Build in Amsterdam. I started working when I was 17 years old professionally as a designer, and now 12 years later we're here at Build in Amsterdam, and together with the team we're doing really cool stuff. I've been really grateful to work on the Mendo project, which won e-commerce of the year, and also the Frans Hals Museum. We worked on Ace and Tate, and I'm currently working with Mammoet for their new e-commerce. So I know they're watching now, so shout out to Mammoet. And we're just having a lot of fun and making really cool new innovative ways to shop. So and that's what Build in Amsterdam is about. We build digital flagship stores. So we're all about shopping and the shopping experience. But let's talk about Powerhouse. And Powerhouse is one of the cases which recently won Site of the Month, and we're super happy about it because we're really grateful to have such a cool client which just has like a lot of super cool projects, and to be able to create a platform for them where they can showcase their work. And what is Powerhouse Company? Powerhouse Company is an award-winning architecture and design firm with international studios in Rotterdam, Oslo, Munich, and Beijing. We help them to define their strategic brand positioning, followed by a complete rebranding. And this complete rebranding also consists, of course, of the platform, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. But before I'm going to show you the amazing platform, I just want to highlight something, and that's the strategic phase that we did. So before we started anything with Touch Design, we went through an excessive strategy phase. We developed their strategic brand positioning. This included their brand claim, we give meaning to space, which became leading in their brand identity and platform. And you must be thinking, like, why are you showing me these things? I just want to see cool designs. Well, this is actually where it all starts, and this is actually the foundation of all choices we make. And that's also the big learning I want to get out of this, is that every design choice and every development choice we made in this platform is based on this strategic document. I won't be going too much in detail of all of these points, but what I want to give out is, want to tell you guys, is the brand claim. So the brand claim is a one consumer-facing claim distilled from their why, how, what, and manifesto, which should have character and it's easy to grasp. So Powerhouse is about giving meaning to space. And how they put that into action. So the brand functions is building on upon the collective intelligence of everyone involved, stimulating holistic design at all times, and taking responsibility throughout the whole process. And I just want to highlight a little bit about building upon the collective intelligence of everyone involved, because Powerhouse, as an architecture firm, really gets really is about the people who work at Powerhouse. You know, everyone who is involved into a project is very important to Powerhouse, and therefore they're building upon the collective intelligence of everyone involved. Okay, so now we're going to go to some cool looking stuff, because we made an identity for them. We made a logo, which is a combination of a serif and a sans serif font. So, you know, like this traditional font combined with a modern font, and we cut out the things that we didn't need, and we kept a little serif elements, like as you can see the O. It's kind of more sexy than just a normal O. It kind of becomes a bit more thin on the top and the bottom, and the same goes for the S. And with these kind of small little details, you really can bring uniqueness to a logo, which can also just only consist out of just a name. We made everything for them, so like letterhead, business card, thank you card, you name it. As you can see here, and here you can already see a bit that we really try to work with we give meaning to space. We actually give meaning to the space by removing a lot and just keeping a lot of white space. So there was a really simple little hint to the strategy, but all of those things, they add up to one big final identity. So nice book. That's what we done. And also we not only do like the printable identity things, but we also thought about their socials. So after the identity and the strategy, we actually went into the UX phase. And for us, I call this the incubator of all our ideas, because we literally think of everything within the UX phase. And when we were making the UX, the wireframes, we constantly thought to ourselves, okay, we have the strategic document, and we give meaning to space. And we started thinking about, okay, how can we define space? And what we wanted to do is just have a really big open field, like a room in a museum where we can where they showcase all of the projects in a really open space where you can just browse around and move around in. And there we came up with the idea just to have just to start the website with we call this a pennable grid. And the only thing we added behind it was the logo, and this already gave us a little bit of an idea, like, hey, this can be cool. This can work and lead up to something. And then again, we started thinking, okay, well, how can we use this wording inside of other things? And then a colleague of mine, Aurelia, she had this brilliant moment where she said, like, hey, dude, why don't we just use the brand claim as a menu? Because we can go to the about page, and space that can actually work as a filter. So you can filter it with towers, you can filter it with offices, living, and you know, as a designer, you have these moments where you think of, wow, everything just makes sense if we combine this. And you know, here we have it. And this was actually the starting point of everything else. And from here, I really had the moment like, oh, this is really something that works with each other, because you have this really cool panelable grid, which is very spacious, very open. And then you have the really meaningful menu on the top. Yeah, so again, another thing from the strategy phase, our projects arise by the collective intelligence of everyone involved. And for us, we started thinking of how can we just not only showcase that project, but also give everyone a voice, because as an architect, there goes a lot of thinking behind every choice you make. And every choice is also an important choice. And we want to give everyone at Powerhouse the ability to speak up about what they did on the project. So let's say this is a detail page of a project, and you can see that, you know, someone written something about it. In this case, it's Nana. And as a viewer, you can actually click on Nana, and it will open up a pop-up, and it will, you know, explain about Nana, what he done in the past. And you can also start to browse between projects which he made. And this created a kind of like a spider web flow throughout the website, and you can really get lost into the world of Powerhouse. And even from the start, it looks like a very simple website. It's actually, yeah, just really one big spider web where you can browse into. A little screenshot of the wireframes, and trust me, after this, it's going to be butter and gravy, because I'm going to show you the designs. But I just want to highlight here that here at Build, we truly believe in UX is UI and UI is UX, because for us it's the same discipline. We truly believe, and this works for us. Like, understand, like everyone works in a different way, but we really believe that every choice you make in the UX phase is also a design choice. And in the end, and as you can see as well, like a lot of these screens, if you're just going to go to the design, look like the wireframes, because yeah, just every choice is just really important that we make in this phase. So now I'm just gonna switch to the final design. One moment. Switch screen. So here you have it, and here you land in this very airy, kind of spacious kind of website platform with a panelable grid. And it's, as you can see, it's not that different from how our initial designs were in the wireframe phase. And I hope that gives you kind of like an idea of how we work at Build in Amsterdam, how we already make like a lot of choices beforehand. And again, if we talk about animations, I'm just going to start it again. And you can see like how it moves in. We wanted really to give meaning to the animations and make them slow and airy and give a spacious feel. And I would just want to talk a bit about development, because that's of course just as important. And it's funny because it looks flat, but it's actually WebGL. So all you WebGL devs out there, shout out to you. I think it's, yeah, I really like how this, you know, how it just moves around and how it feels. And what's also very cool about from the development side is that there is an algorithm which kind of directs which project has to go where. So in the algorithm, we say, okay, this project, for example, this villa is the most important one. And then we have a less important or other projects which we want to highlight later on. And the algorithm is going to calculate around it where it has to position. So it's not like it's not like a fixed grid which they have to fill in. No, the algorithm is gonna do the calculations on how everything is positioned. Another cool thing about it is that it's also different if you depending on your ratio of your screen. So now we're looking at a computer screen, and this is actually positioned more or less like in a horizontal oval, like a horizontal kind of shape circle. But if you would visit this on a mobile screen, it would be more like a landscape kind of circle. So let's just move around and see, because the next cool thing which I really enjoy is always just clicking on this filter. So here you see all the cases, but then if you click on this, I will just zoom out and it will showcase actually all, and you can just filter down to the desired cases that you like. If you close it again, zooms back, and again, like this sentence type of way of the feeling of someone speaking to you. We also wanted to give that a little bit into the menu, where if you close it again, it will just tell you again, we give meaning to space. So let's just click on one project. So let's say here, if you click on this one, we have the really seamless kind of, particularly simple animations, but because of the simplicity, it kind of remains timeless, and it's not too many things going around. And that's also what we feel like Powerhouse is not about. It's about quality and timelessness. So even in animations, we're trying to think of these things. So also a cool thing, what's happening is that if you do scroll, then kind of this full screen image that turns into the grid. And again, very spacious grids, very spacious kind of feel we wanted to give to the projects. And actually we wanted to kind of make it feel as well like a magazine. So you're just browsing around through a magazine, and you're just zooming out and just looking at all the cool projects. So again, if we talk about the collective intelligence of everyone involved, for example, here, Nana, he talks about a detail of this building. And as you can also click on kind of these pop-ups, you can see also the foundation of like the ideas which they had when setting up this project. So, and this is also, for example, someone who works at Powerhouse. As you can see, if you just click on Nana, you have this cool image of him, which also we done the whole art direction for all of the photos of the team members. And just as you saw in the wireframes, you can just browse, like read about this person, and also see like in what projects the person is featured. Of course, Nana is featured in all. He's the founder of Powerhouse. Great guy, by the way. But if you just scroll through this page, what we also did is give the client a set of tools. And what I mean by that is that every page has a different setup. So we work in components. So let's say this is the slideshow component, and they can fill this up with images of the project. And let's say the second one is the floor plan. And it's kind of like a Lego system where you just, you click everything onto each other and creates a detail page. And every page is kind of different, and every page is filled in a different way, because every project has a different story to tell. But we made it in a way that every component, every block that you can put underneath the block you're currently seeing, it has to work with each other. And how you do that is that you just create a really simple grid where things kind of align on each other. In this case, you cannot clearly see like a grid, but there is a grid and everything sticks on that grid. And that way you can create components which will always look good. Yeah, another fun thing we added was, for example, that we just have like a close button, which actually fills up. So, these pages can get super long, and we want them to make them super long. Oh, that's the bell. So someone's at the door. I'm presenting here in the kitchen, and maybe I can do a little tour after this. Anyways, these pages can get very long, and it's just cool to have an indicator to see how far you are. Click back. You're back on the overview page, and yeah, as you can see, you can just you browse around, and let me see like projects which I enjoy. So, for example, this one. And here you can see it again, like this little pop-up where, they talk about the whole foundation of how this project came together. Click on the person. And what we also did is, and this is also unusual, we kind of made a custom router which allows multiple levels of overlays. So normally you can just only one overlay, but we wanted to have multiple and kind of stack it on top of each other. So we built something custom for that. And then if you just show you the filter, so just go to public spaces. Then what we wanted to do is not just show the grid again, but make it a bit more organized. So if you're going to filter, we just put everything in a really clear grid next to each other, so it won't give too much noise. And we had the philosophy that if you're going to filter, then it means you're actually really looking for something particular, and therefore a more common grid, a simple grid was nicer to have. And to make it a bit more interesting, because some projects have a square photo and some projects have a long photo. We wanted to keep this we wanted to make it interesting, by adding a little bit of a parallax effect. And one other thing we always try to do, and what's very cool, and it's kind of like also a hint back to magazine design, is that we always try to use the same ratios. So in this case, we have a square ratio, and this is kind of more like a portrait ratio. But in the entire website, we reuse these ratios, and unconsciously, as a visitor, this helps you, makes it really feel like one organized, one clean design. Where if you would use a lot of ratios, it will kind of unconsciously becomes a bit messy. And also from a client position, it's very nice because they don't have to crop too many images. Just one cropping or two, and they can reuse these images throughout the whole website. So if you go to the We section, and this is basically the About section of Powerhouse. And here you can see, just read about it, about the team, and you can actually click on everyone. And it kind of has that same pop-up as just what I showed you before. So we reuse also a lot of elements throughout the website, just to keep it consistent, and to also mimic kind of every time the same type of flow, where a user just doesn't get lost. One thing I also want to highlight is that we believe in that collective intelligence. Oh, that's a bug. But let's just go back to a case. And if you just go to the last section of a project, just scroll down for a little bit. You actually also have a join the conversation point where you can actually leave a comment. So if you have like a question, you can just start asking, and one of the architects will answer. Because like if it's an interesting question which is related to a certain project, always someone wants to explain about it. So we give them a place to comment. And by making all of these things, it actually did not become in the end a portfolio website, but it kind of became a social platform, which is pretty funny because it doesn't look like one. And I think this is kind of like the highlights of this project. And I think I captured almost everything. I'm just really curious about some questions of people. So wait, just 1 second. So that's it. All right. So I'll just go through. I see some questions. I have here Ilsa, digital designer in Holland. How long did your team work on this project? It's, I think, in the end, just I think almost a year, maybe 9 months. That's like from the very beginning till the very end. So from the strategy to the final design of the website. And it took a little bit more time to also fill it in, because that also takes a lot of time, because it's just a lot of imagery, a lot of text, but more or less this amount of time. Let's see. So Victor from Brazil, hi. How long and how many people involved to get this project done? Well, I already answered, of course, how long, but how many people? I would say it would like. It's, of course, we have Daan, the creative director. We have I was in the project lead. Then we have Kai, which done the design for the website. We have Aurelia, which helped with the wireframes. We have development, I think, like 3 people. Yeah, so around, I think eight people, maybe 9 if I'm not. Maybe I'm forgetting someone. Sorry. That's around the amount of people from our side, and of course, like the client input is also just as important. And they also had a team which worked with, for example, the content fitting.
Hi, Julian. I'm back.
Hi.
Sorry, I dropped off there. So yeah, we had so many questions. So yeah. Thank you, everyone. Like so many questions. Everyone's really curious about it. So I see you answered Victor's question. And yeah, we had a question from Valentine from Paris, and he wanted to know how long it takes. How long does the whole process take from UX to final release?
Yeah, I think you dropped out. I already answered that one. It's around a year.
You're one step ahead of me. Okay. So someone had a question about the final user. Yeah, the primary user, Michael Peacock from the United States. He's curious about who the primary user was for the site.
Hi, Michael. Thank you. That's an interesting question, because it's not just one end user. You have a couple. The first one are architects. So it's kind of like a community. You have architects who want to work at Powerhouse, but also get inspired by the work. And therefore, like a really nice looking portfolio is one of the primary users. I'm not saying the important one, because it's like a mix. You of course have clients, who future clients who are interested with working with Powerhouse. real estate development companies, who are investing in something and they need a design for their building, for example. But also, I think, for example, government institutions who, if they have certain contracts which need to be done, and that it just needs to be a very presentable website which just represents everything of Powerhouse. So that's kind of like a summary of of end consumers.
Okay, and Adrovic from Switzerland. Hello, Adrovic from Switzerland. He would like to know more about the development technologies used, such as WebGL. What did you use for the transitions? Did you have problems with the compatibility of libraries working together?
It's a good question. I think we can answer those, but not now, because unfortunately I cannot write more than CSS. I just a little bit of color here and there, maybe add a font, but no, I won't be able to answer that. But I'll be happy to answer that. You can just DM us on Instagram or send us an email if you have questions. We're always happy to answer that.
Okay. Yannick from Germany. Hey, Yannick.
Hey.
Would like to know if user testing is a part of your design process.
Yeah, it is, and it comes in many ways. We kind of try to user test already in the UX, because that's kind of like our first test, and see if the concept is working. Of course, it's hard because if you're testing a UX, you already know a lot about design, and you have to see through all the gray blocks. But what it happens, and after that, in the design phase, of course, we test a lot of things, and we test it with just a prototype where we put the design in. We use Figma for it, just because it's really easy to use, and you can just send a link and anyone can just click on it and open it up and just do tests professionally, and also just if you sit at home and show our website to your friends. And in the development phase, of course, we also do testing, which can be more through, because of course a lot of more things are already there, and it also depends per project. For example, for example, we work in a partnership with Supply where it's ongoing. So we make a design, and then based on user testings, we adjust the design. It really depends on also on the client.
Okay, and Mohammed, he's got some questions. Hello, Mohammed. Can we do the same in Webflow? And what is your opinion of Webflow in general?
Webflow, interesting. It's I try to use it, but I got lost, and I love the idea of designing and be able to build something without knowing code, but I think it's for me, the time it will take to get into it and to actually make a design to a website, I think that's not worth the time. And I feel always that you always need a developer. You always need someone who writes code, and also just if you want to do something different because you see it doesn't really work in the end. And it's just super nice to be able to talk to someone and they can make the adjustments. And for me, and also from a professional position, here we work. We actually, I'll call it kind of like the Champions League of e-commerce, because it's just a lot of pages we're designing and like a lot of stuff which need to be done, and you just want to divide that for design work and development work and work in teams for them. So I tried to use it, but I never got into it, unfortunately.
Okay, fair enough. And he's got another question. How do you prototype the animations and micro interactions in your designs?
Yeah, it depends. I like to use Figma, but it has a lot of limitations. But I would say like 70% of the final animation I'm kind of doing in Figma. Yeah, I'm not that great in After Effects. I've used Keynote a lot to animate, which sounds a bit silly, but in the end, like what we do at Built in Amsterdam is just really clear, simple, and functional animations, and that doesn't need a lot of effects. It's actually also a lot of times just really simple. But other than that, we have some great talented designers who can animate in After Effects, and that's just the best tool to do your stuff, to animate in.
Okay, and so we've got me Kinders. I don't know what your real name is, sorry, or if that is your real name, but he says, or she says, nice project. Does it also happen that something conceived during wireframing does not work in the visual design?
Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah. That's it happens because sometimes, but it's not so much about the wireframes or how it works, but it's usually that happens when the content is not like working with the design that you make. We go really far with designing the wireframes, and that last part is just adding fonts and adding the right images, and then sometimes you stumble upon okay, this is not really working right now, but most of the times this can be fixed by being in control of the content. So let's say for e-commerce, you have just your product shot, and if that's not a nice shot, if it just looks messy, then we need to work on that instead of like the wireframes that we made for it.
Okay, we've got another question from Onbile, who says, love the minimal menu, but do you think a normal user could have problems in understanding it?
Yeah, we had a different menu before, which had the same idea and the same principle, but we made it more obvious. So really, as a UX, kind of like how the UX was already. So kind of like a widget. We designed this, and we also believe that sometimes you just have to take like a little bit of a risk, and also be kind of make choices which are out of the ordinary. And yes, sometimes people have to get used to the choice that you make, but that's just sometimes what we keep, of course, in mind, and we always have, of course, a backup plan. But this really worked out, and we're super happy with the end result.
Okay. A question from Ganesh from India. Hello. They're saying, just an observation. You can see a blue dot circle in the Powerhouse company logo, but in the website, blue's not used that much. So what was the thinking behind the color selection? And did the client agree with the colors?
Yeah, that's a good question, because the first thing we did in our initial sketches was to really use that blue like everywhere, and just kind of like scream it, because it's also a very intense blue. It's kind of it's actually inspired by Yves Klein. You should definitely check that guy out. He made a kind of like a unique blue, and we kind of wanted to have that same type of feel. But the problem with that was that it just screams too much, and we felt it had like too much attention, and all the attention was going to that color blue and not so much to the projects. And we felt like the projects and kind of that panel grid is the most important thing of the website. and therefore we toned it down a little bit with the blue and the brown. And sometimes we use it. So if you go to an overlay, we use the blue, and yeah, we wanted to minimalize that a little bit. And it's funny. It's a funny question because it comes back a lot of times in our designs where we sometimes use too much identity and you can do that, but that doesn't go hand in hand with the experience, and you sometimes get lost because you show too much identity. So we keep it always a bit minimal, and yeah, in this case also just very, very minimal.
Okay, thank you. We got Alex from Switzerland, who's an experienced designer. Hello, Alex.
Hi.
He loves the smooth animations. Did you start with mobile first or the desktop version?
Together, we do it at the same time, actually, because yeah, mobile is getting more and more important. But you also have to look at your audience. So in this case, for Powerhouse, there was also a lot of architects who use a really big screen, and so in any case, when we design a website, we do it at the same time. We feel like it's just as important, and yeah, that's always what we keep in mind, and that's how we design a website.
Okay, good. Yannick has a question. Nowadays, I feel like it's really hard to come up with something completely new, since there are already so many great websites out there.
Yeah.
Where do you look for inspiration, and how do you come up with something new?
Yannick, thank you for that question. Yeah, so that's kind of the point what I try to explain from the beginning, that we have this strategic phase where we define a lot of where we define the foundation of a client, and that's actually where something unique comes from, because it gives you kind of like boundaries in where you should work, and by working with these boundaries, you actually create something unique, because only this client has these type of boundaries. And that's how we, for example, make a design. But also when you're going to look for inspiration, you kind of like try to keep these boundaries and come up with something unique. And of course, it's okay to steal. You know, you can just, I would not say steal it, like copy something from a trend, but if you just see something you really like and you want to use it, please do. And because always what you're gonna make is gonna be unique in the end, because of these, you know, of these boundaries what we define, for example, in the strategic phase. So it will turn out into something new and something refreshing again.
Okay. Yannick would also like to know if you have any favorite websites. Apart from Awwwards and Awwwards Academy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Awwwards.
That's a given.
Yeah, it depends every day. I think the one that's now on Awwwards, I think it's by Martin, by Numbers. I think it's really cool with those animations. It's super over the top, but it is just cool to look at. But it differs every day. I can't really I can't say what is what's my all-time favorite. No.
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Hello, Julian, says Stefano from Italy, who's a front-end developer. Good job. The site is elegant yet fun to use. So he's asking, were there things that you wanted to implement but you couldn't because of web technologies?
No, not that I'm aware of. I think just to follow up on that question, in this design, we didn't had some difficulties with development. But what I do want to challenge people on is that to not think inside of the borders of what's possible, because and that also goes back to that question like about Webflow. is because you really think in the boundaries of what you're able to design. And I think you should, take a step out of it. Don't think about rules or what's possible in development or whatnot, because probably in the end it is possible. And if you just have a cool design, it's also cool to challenge your development team into uh, creating that design. So yeah, that for this project, there was no limitations that I'm aware of.
Okay. And there's a question here. I don't know if I missed it when I dropped off, but it's Patrick from Patrick from Italy, and he says, "Hi Patrick." He says he really loves the site. How many hours went into it, and how much was for design and for development phases?
Well, I would. It's hard to say how many hours. Too many. No, I don't have hard numbers, but I do want to give like a little something extra to that question, because I talked about, of course, like the secret recipe of winning an award, and I tried to write it down, like what do you need to win an award, and actually I don't really have a clear answer. The only thing I can give to you is that the amount of work you're gonna put into a project is definitely gonna be visible in the end result. What I mean by that is that if you make a design, you're not just ready. If you work together with your developers, you always think of improvements and of things that while designing you didn't thought of. And the only way to figure this out and the only way to get better at it is you just to put in hours and extra hours. And that I really believe that, because we put in those extra hours, and we just delete our darlings and keep on going with the things that we liked, and try it again. That's hopefully what won this award. And of course, work with a really cool team. I think also, we just have fun a lot of time, and it doesn't feel like work. And that's also the only way of making, to walk that extra mile, to run that extra mile, and to put in the extra hours if needed.
Okay. And we've got another question from Victor Work. Hello, Victor. So he's saying, Build in Amsterdam is an iconic web agency in the creative community. Did you guys make this project already thinking about submitting to an international awards platform? If yes, what exactly did you guys decide to implement or remove based on this decision?
Yeah, Victor, I think that's a great question, and I think that goes also in hand with the previous question before, because we actually don't think of. For starters, we upload every project to Awwwards or to any other any other platform, but we don't think of we need to implement this type of animation to win it, or we need to do this or that, because that not only will you then be designing websites just to win awards, but also that's not the point of winning an award. I think it's winning because you make something that fits your client and fits the target audience, and based on that you create your animations and you create your design and you create like the flow that works for that target audience, and then you win an award for that. I think that's really important to always keep in your head. Just don't design for awards, but that's how we work. I do.
Okay, we've got Jop, he's from the Netherlands, so you tell me how to pronounce it.
Joppe,
architect, client, and fanboy from the Netherlands. Joppe, it's
yes.
your chance. What was the most fun, insightful, epic moment for you, Julian, when working on the website?
I think it's Joppe.
Joppe. Is this your friend?
He is
Okay.
the client, and I was a lot of time in contact with him, and he's a really cool guy. I really enjoy working with this guy. He's one of the cool things of the project. But the most fun thing, it's hard to say. I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, but I just enjoy the whole process, basically. Sorry, I have nothing else, unfortunately.
Okay. A question, Adrovic from Switzerland again. And he's got a question about money. He's curious how much money a customer has to pay to be able to get such a website. You said the project was about 9 months and 8 people worked. So, money.
Yeah, it's. I'm not about the money. I actually don't know, to be honest, what our hourly rate is, but I guess you can. Yeah, I would say the average hourly rate of a design online design firm, and then times 9 months. That would kind of give you an indication. No, but I truly don't know, and from a design perspective, I just really focus on the project.
Okay, good answer. Good corporate answer. Okay, Swan wants to know how many concepts did you create before arriving at the final choice?
Hi, Swan. Actually, I would say one design. Of course, variations of it, but in the end, it's one design. What we also really believe in at Build, and I think this is also really cool to think of while designing, is that you're also getting paid to make choices. Like to really think of, okay, what is best for my client, and therefore already choosing options for them. And also it also solves the problem of having 3 designs, and you actually want that one design to win, but actually the client is going to choose the other one. So you make the choice for them, and that's why we have we have one design in the end.
Okay. And an interesting question from Bernard, who's a digital designer from Cape Town. Hello. He's asking how you and the team found the collaboration process during COVID in terms of creative ideas and brainstorming. So I think this is really interesting for everyone across the board.
Yeah, Bernard, I think I know this guy. While working, we of course have just our we work together while calling each other and having a meeting online. I would say from a meeting perspective, with meeting clients, it's difficult because you sometimes the connection gets lost, and not everyone's in the room, and it's just a bit messy. So that's a pity. But I must say, like, while working with your teammates, actually you just you have your microphone on and you just have a call on for 3-4 hours, and you're not saying anything to each other, but you just like while designing you say like, hey, Christina, check this out, I have this cool idea, and then you just keep the conversation going. I think that was just really nice, and sometimes it was even nicer than just sitting in an office, because you have so many people talking to each other, which can be noisy a bit, and you just only had like a clean conversation with someone. And I think like until some point it was a really nice experience, but I'm super glad to be back and just to work in the office again.
Yeah, I heard that about people just having calls but not talking, and just having people there present but without an objective. Like it's quite an interesting idea. It's quite nice. So question from Tim. He says, "Hello, Julian. Very nice project. Which programs do you guys design the wireframes and final designs, and how do you present them to the client?"
Hi, Tim. Thank you for the question. We use Figma. So shout out to Figma. It's the best. It's Sketch on steroids. I don't know that, but for us, it's just the best. It's just the fact that you can just work together in one file. It's just it's just amazing, and that's actually the only program we use now for creating designs. We make the UX in Sketch, in Figma. We make the design in Figma. We prototype it in Figma. For now, and of course this changes over the years, of course, because we came from Photoshop, and then at one point we used Sketch, and then now we use Figma. Maybe next year it's something else, but for now it's Figma. All the tools that they have to offer, it's really good, and definitely worth, if you're working in a big team, trying out. If you are only on your own, you can still use Sketch. I think then you don't need to work together, but in any other way, Figma is the way to go. Also, what happens a lot of times, so what I do nowadays is, if I'm in contact with a client and he has some small ideas about the design, I can just, while on the call, I can just do it, and then he says like, "Oh yeah, this is great. Okay, let's go with this route," and then you save some time of like having another call about it, or writing an email about the adjustment that you made. You just made the adjustment on the spot, and everyone's happy, and you can just continue again.
Okay. Right. So we've got one last question here from. I think that the Dutch pronunciation is Marijn. So he's a design student and freelance developer from the Netherlands, and he asked, "What do you guys look for when hiring?"
Hi, Marijn. Thank you for your question. We of course always looking for talented people, and as a developer or as a designer, we're actually hiring at this moment. So send your portfolio to jobs@builtinamsterdam.com, and we'll be happy. And we will be happy to look at your work and see what you got to offer. And maybe just send it through. I think we sometimes have to see what's fitting for us, but we are always looking and always are looking for talent.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, I think we're going to wrap up now. So big thank you to everyone for all the questions. We had so many, so it's so nice to have it really interactive. And thank you so much to Julian. That's the first live case study we've had. So it's really interesting because obviously every month we publish a case study on the blog, but it's just fantastic to have someone talking us through it live. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
To everyone, remember that our next live session is next Thursday, and we're going to be doing a live jury review with Jonas and Sabato. So that will be from, hang on, let me just check the time. That will be from 4:00 on Thursday. So make sure you register to watch that. So remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch again all these live sessions. And from me, that's all. So thanks for watching Awwwards Academy, and see you soon. Keep on creating.